Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. We are joined by Tom once again at TLogic1991 on Twitter. We're going to talk about the Merseyside derby today. We're also going to talk a little bit about Project Big Picture. We talked about this a little bit on Monday towards the back end of Monday's stream. Tom joined us then as well, becoming a permanent fixture on the channel now, mate. I'll have to get you on the owners list.
I'll have to send me a request to my agent and that.
That's it. I'll be poaching you up. But we spoke about it briefly towards the back end of Monday's video, and obviously since then, literally within the last 45 minutes or so, it's been officially abandoned or rejected, because I think all Premier League clubs other than 6 voted against it, and even out of those 6 that voted for it, which I don't think we know who the 6 are yet, I think 3 or 4 of them still had their reservations about it. But like I said, we spoke about it on Monday, and we said we'd talk a little bit more in depth about it today, so we are going to talk about it. We're going to talk about why, personally for me, I think it's a good thing that it's been rejected. I think that certain clubs, let's be honest, Liverpool and Manchester United, because they were the clubs that proposed it, were doing it out of greed, and we're trying to add the we'll give a load of money to the EFL clubs as sort of a backing from the EFL clubs to just go, well, we're getting money out of it, so we'll back it, whilst not looking at the other ramifications of it in terms of them controlling the rules and regulations and being able to decide the ownerships of clubs and all sorts of madnesses. But it's been abandoned, so we'll talk about it obviously as if it was still a thing, and it may come back as still a thing. It'll only take Liverpool and Manchester United to think up another project. It's got a stupid name for a start. Project Big Picture is a ridiculous name. And then of course we'll go into talking about the Merseyside derby. It is the week of the Merseyside derby. I'm sure a lot of you will be happy to know that Richarlison and James Rodriguez got through their last international fixtures last night, all free of injury. They did both play 90 minutes, I believe. Richarlison scored, James didn't. Yerry Mina, I'm sure you've all heard, is due to have a late fitness test upon his return because he missed Colombia's game last night through, and but he picked up a knock in training and they didn't want to risk him, so hopefully it's nothing too serious. But the other 2 played and played relatively well, and you know, obviously the only issue or potential issue would be if they are match fit come Saturday afternoon, which we'd like to hope so, because you know they're both professional athletes and are used to playing multiple games a week. There's still international fixtures. I think it's the last day today. Dominic Calvert-Lewin plays, England plays, so Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Michael Keane, Jordan Pickford, Luca Dean plays for France as well. There's a couple of other fixtures. Robin Olsen plays. I think Alex Iwobi might play as well. So you could be on a lookout for those, even if you're not interested in the score, just to make sure that Everton players get through it. The games, the Colombian, I don't know if you've seen them, Tom, the Colombian and Brazil game were in the middle of the night, something like at 12:30, 1:30 kickoff. So the first thing I done this morning when I woke up was like frantically check my phone to make sure there was no injuries, and I just seen Yerry Mina missed out, and I just thought, oh no, not again.
Yeah, I seen like a little screenshot of Rodriguez flying into challenges, so
The little
stamp
thing.
Let's lay off them ones.
We were all sitting here fearful that he'll pick up an injury and won't be able to play, and he's there throwing in tackles like that. Oh no. But yeah, we're going to talk about the derby obviously because it's up and coming. It is this weekend. It's not the preview. We'll do the preview on Friday, but we'll go into the discussions. Obviously, talk about how Everton match up. It's probably in terms of going into a Merseyside derby, it's the best position we've been in going into a Merseyside derby for quite some time. Certainly on paper, 7 wins out of 7, 4 out of 4, top of the Premier League, and they're coming off the back of an absolute thrashing. But, you know, football doesn't work on paper. They'll have their backs against the wall. They'll want to react. And it's important that Everton, you know, can take that reaction and ultimately go out and play the football that we know they can play and win the game. But we'll touch on Project Big Picture first, because we said that we were going to talk about it on Monday. It has officially been abandoned because it was rejected, but like I said, it wouldn't surprise me if it popped up again in some form in the next couple of weeks, if they redo the terms of it and try and put it in again. But basically what it was Liverpool and Manchester United, as 2 clubs, proposed this situation to the FA and the rest of the Premier League clubs, which basically meant that the top 9 longest serving clubs would basically run the Premier League and own the Premier League and make decisions on club shareholders and make decisions on rules and regulations and basically be able to do what they want. Now, I couldn't help but feel when I read this it was the top 6 clubs and then just shoehorn 3 other clubs in there to sort of soften the blow a little bit. Everton you know, quite ironically, would have been one of those clubs that would have, I don't want to say benefited from it, but we wouldn't have been in as bad a situation as some, put it that way. We'd have probably got some financial backing from it. We would have been one of the 9 longest serving clubs. But morally, and for every other club in the Premier League, it was a complete disgrace. They tried to get the EFL clubs on board by saying that, you know, they'd give them a lot of money, and we, you know, all the Premier League clubs would be able to come together and give a lot of money to the EFL clubs in a time which we all know they desperately need it. But there's other ways of doing that, isn't there, Tom? There's other ways of collectively getting a big pocket of money and giving it to those clubs in League 1 and League 2 need the backing, rather than saying, right, okay, we'll agree to this, which means we run everything from the top and then we'll give you the money. And of course that was an exciting proposal for EFL clubs, because all as they saw is, right, we're getting a load of money here, which means that we may be able to stay alive, because, you know, it's difficult for those clubs. There's no ticket sales, there's no fans going through the door. We've already seen what happened to Bury, we've seen what's happened to Bolton, Wigan in recent years. So I can see why that was an exciting proposal. But the rest of it, I know we've had a little look at it over the last couple of days. It was, well, for me anyway, it was utter nonsense. You know, the abomination of the League Cup was in there, taking the Premier League down from 20 teams to 18 teams. It just seemed like a power-hungry move, didn't it? With a little bit of, we'll do this for these clubs to try and get them on side.
Yeah, well, I think what it basically boils down to is the fact that they've tried to take advantage of a situation where clubs are that desperate that they're willing to take anything.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you just run through the bullet points of the proposal, like the Premier League cutting from 20 to 18 clubs, with the Championship, League 1 and League 2 each retaining 2014. I don't really know why that would be put in there.
Yeah. Doesn't make much sense, does it?
That one particularly, especially for like if the EFL needs funds and all, what's it got to do with an extra 2 teams getting took out of the
Premier League,
took out of Premier League picture? Plus, as well, you start looking at it and thinking that did he start threatening these teams, starting to threaten now to break up this monopoly? Because you've seen over the years now. I mean, I know you've just started with the champions, Liverpool. They've only won the league in 30 years. Yeah. You look at Manchester United, they haven't really done anything for a very long time. I know they won the Europa League, under Mourinho. And since then, hasn't really done much. You've got Arsenal always win the FA Cup, although I really want one, as opposed to being a so-called big club. Yeah. Winning the FA Cup every year doesn't really suggest that. Chelsea, they only started in 2004, really, didn't they? Yeah. So, and major money getting put into them. And then I think Tottenham might maybe squeeze into that. But listen, Tottenham isn't a big team at all. Everton a far bigger team than Tottenham. You can have the big shiny stadiums and all that, but if you haven't got the history or going towards something in the future, then what are you like? For me, the whole dropping down to 18 teams is just absolute nonsense. Then you're looking at the next one, bottom 2 teams in the Premier League relegated automatically, with the 16th place team joining the Championship playoffs. I mean, you finish 16th, you'd sign your hardest all year in a much more competitive league, and then you've got to get asked again then to go playoff for it. I mean, it just smells of wrong, doesn't it? And you know, League Cup. Why get rid of the Community Shield? Yeah, exactly. That just doesn't make sense. Why? Because Klopp's moaning about it, or Guardiola moaning about the League Cup. I mean, they've got to realise this is the English football. They can't go round dictating how they do things here. I mean, you can do it all the way you want in your own countries, in Germany and Spain, where they did in the end get what they want over there. And they're sort of European sort of values, in a sense, where a team from like, say, example, the Bundesliga do it. But I think what you're doing, if you start adapting these sort of European football, you start losing the essence of English football. It's very its own unique thing. So I think clubs have got to sort of say, we do want some help, but do we need to start changing the culture? The culture of English football.
Yeah, no, exactly, spot on. You're 100% spot on. You know, For me, it just, like I said, it feels like a power-hungry move by the clubs above to want to take control, which you're right, would completely change the culture of English football. You know, okay, Liverpool and Manchester United and Arsenal mightn't like the League Cup. I don't know how, don't get me wrong, I'm just throwing City in here. I don't know what their feelings are about it because we don't know the clubs who liked it. We don't know the clubs who disliked it at the moment. We know Manchester United and Liverpool liked it because they proposed it. But let's say, for argument's sake, Manchester City were for it. I don't know why, because they win the League Cup every year and you know, they've won it the last couple of years consistently.
Yeah, that's it. Like, I think pretty much out of the last... I haven't really got it in front of me, but I'll try and get it up there quick. I'm pretty confident in the last 5, maybe 10 years that it's been probably the top teams always win it.
Yeah.
So I don't really know where it comes from that you just get rid of a cup that you probably put in your trophy cabinet. That doesn't really make sense, that one.
Exactly.
But also you've got the likes of, you know, where they're saying a £250 million rescue fund made immediately available to the EFL. But why does that 250 million have to come with these sort of things of like, then we can sort of start taking control of this, the Football League. I mean, I think Ian Holloway said a good thing today. I mean, a very good thing. He was like, they don't own this. They don't own football. No. They don't own English football. They have no divine right, which they think they do. And we hear it all the time where we're from, don't we? Yeah. So, you know, they got a divine right that they can start dictating what goes on in our football league, which is utter absolute nonsense. I mean, you look at what in Germany. I've said it twice before, but Germany do brilliantly with this. I mean, I think. I haven't got the number, but I'm pretty sure they helped out their lower leagues with none of this going on. And plus as well, don't forget, the top of the league have always had this sort of threatening thing of they were going to go and do this European Super League and things like that. So I think it's just a power play, in my opinion.
No, I agree completely. And
but I am happy that happy that they have rejected it.
Yeah, definitely. They've abandoned. Well, I feel like the FA come out quite instantly and said no, we're not allowing this, basically, or we're not funding it, we're not backing it, and if you do it, I think the FA said there'd be European ramifications for those clubs that agreed to it and said that they wouldn't be allowed to compete in the European competitions. I know, obviously, you mentioned there Liverpool and Manchester United and amongst other clubs have always spoken about this European Super League and potentially going off and doing that. Listen, if Liverpool and Manchester United want to leave the Premier League and go and form another league somewhere else, see you later, there's the door, won't miss you, ta-ra. Just close it on your way out because there's a wind. Do you know what I mean?
I think, I think with that, I think that's just, as I say, some sort of like empty threat, in my opinion, because if these clubs, the clubs can do what they want. At the end of the day, they can go do it. It's not that, it's their fans. Do you think Manchester United fans want to go and do a European Super League where they're playing Barcelona on a Saturday?
Yeah.
Oh, of course, you know, it sounds ridiculous.
Exactly.
That's what you got the Champions League for, but you've got these competitions for clubs that, in essence, do very well in the leagues and achieve something.
Yeah.
Like, you look at Europe now, you've got Atlanta, you've got Salzburg, you know, all these good teams that are coming through. So what then? Now we just go, well, right, you're just in the Champions League why?
Yeah, exactly.
Because you've done something for the last maybe 20, 30 years. What about the next 30 years?
Yeah. Exactly.
What says that, say for example, Everton or Villa don't go and do something brilliant for the next 10 years?
Yeah, exactly.
So in the next 10 years, do like Villa and Everton have the divine right to start dictating the football? It's just a daft thing, and I think it's these owners that are trying to get. Well, obviously you've got an American owners both in Liverpool and Manchester United, and I think it's a way to basically ensure their asset that it'll never drop.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the only thing I can ever think of is, like, you know, you got United there absolutely falling apart currently with recruitment wise and all that, but they're probably earning a hell of a lot of money outside of it.
Yeah.
Same with Liverpool, and I think it's just a way to ensure that the club's longevity continues.
Yeah, that's it, and they stay making the money, and ultimately the Premier League and you know, the people who fund the Premier League, Sky and BT, they want your Liverpools and Manchester Uniteds to be up there because they bring in the funds. Just going back to the bullet points, I've got them in front of me here, all the bullet points that were proposed, and there is a couple in there that you look at and you think they've clearly done that to try and soften the blow. So there's one about away tickets, which a fan charter including capping of away tickets at £20, away travel subsidised, a focus on a return to safe standing, a minimum away allocation of 8% capacity. Of course, there's the one about the EFL clubs and you know, I think it's 250 million to EFL clubs. But then there's also things in there like, for example, a £100 million one-off gift to the FA, and it says it's to cover its coronavirus losses, the non-league game, the women's game, and the grassroots. But it's not. It's to pocket to the FA to say, look how brilliant we are. Next time we play in a big game, send over a ref that loves us, or send over a ref that isn't afraid to give decisions against the other team. The big one for me, obviously, is the special status for the 9 longest serving clubs and the vote of only 6 of those long-term shareholders required to make major changes, including amendment of rules and regulations, contracts, removal of chief executive, and a wide range of veto, including on club ownership. And like I said, as an Evertonian, we probably fit into those.
Well, would you think that, say for example, on that, maybe if Everton do, for example, they'll just say, let's say they don't fit into that category where they're not in them clubs that have a so-called special right, as to say, to vote. Just think if this did come through and Everton was still looking for that investor, then clubs like Manchester United, Liverpool will look at it and go, no, because we've said it. And it's just unfathomable how someone can just dictate that. I have a hard time believing like why. I mean, it's all great, it's all good looking through and vetting people and all that, but as opposed to trying to keep clubs down, even listen, FFP's there for that one pattern reason, and that's it. I mean, you see fans getting up in arms about FFP and worrying about FFP. Listen, FFP won't be around anytime soon.
Yeah,
we've seen that this season. City got a slap on the wrists, and was allowed to do it. Now there's leniency now on FFP. FFP, all it is, in my personal view, keeps teams down from trying to literally break the gap towards what the top 6 is. Because if we didn't have FFP, there'd be a hell of a lot more money getting lashed around, and smart clubs who do very well good recruitment will make a really, really good team, and that threatens Manchester United and Liverpool and things like that. Like, you know, it's all swings and roundabouts, isn't it, in football? Liverpool are on top now, but Manchester United might be on that. You know, it's all things like that. So I think to come across and have a divine right to say, right, we're top and we're staying top, or like we're top and like a kid in a park, innit?
Yeah, exactly.
Goes and wins the game and goes like, that's it, now I'm off.
Yeah, that's it.
You know what I mean? And that's it, I'm the best, and that's it, I'm done.
Yeah, I'm not coming back.
We're not playing no more.
I'm taking my ball. It's my ball.
Yeah, I'm
going.
I'm taking. Yeah.
That's it, and you're spot on.
Well, that's it.
You're spot on about FFP there as well. You know, again, it's been brought in because the Premier League and those who run the Premier League and the FA absolutely.
Chelsea and
City, they hated what City done. They hated that a club that weren't notoriously up there fighting for Champions Leagues or European competitions. You know, they were a notorious mid-table club, even struggled at times. They hated that they come in, lashed a load of money and won the league. They didn't like it. They want their same clubs that are up there, and we know who they are. We don't need to sit here and go through them. We know who they are. They want those clubs to be there every single year. And what Liverpool and Manchester United have done, have said, well, here's a proposal which will ensure we're there every single year and will ensure that there isn't a Leicester City or a Manchester City come through again, but we'll give some money to the lower league clubs to help them as well. You're right, you know, the £250 million given to the EFL could be given to the EFL anyway. Why does it need these radical measures being brought in? Why doesn't every club just go out of the transfer budget, let's put £10 million in, which, let's be honest, to 90% of Premier League clubs is nothing short change. Everton, you know, me and Tom spoke last week, I think it was, and Tom went through a list of players that are basically not involved in Everton Football Club, some younger players that have gone out on loan, some fringe players, and their wages capped at something like £26 million a year. So a lot of Premier League clubs would easily be able to go, here's 10 million, and that's 200 million straight away for EFL clubs without needing these measures. But what Liverpool and Manchester United have done, and the clubs that have agreed to it, have gone, well, okay, yeah, we'll do that, and then we'll get more control over it. Another thing that confuses me is this top 9 longest serving clubs. Let's be honest, you look at the longest serving clubs, the oldest clubs in English football, for example, Everton, of course, are up there. I think Wolves are up there. Sheffield United are up there. Now, Everton might be involved in that 9 special saving club because we might be the club that they think, well, let's just put them in so they don't kick up a fuss. But I doubt Wolves are in there. I doubt Sheffield United in there. I would assume Tottenham are in there, who aren't a longest serving club in my eyes in terms of football. Same with, Chelsea, who have been up and down, certainly before, like Tom said, 2004. So is the 9 longest serving clubs actually the 9 longest serving clubs, or just who they pick?
Right.
Who they pick to go in?
You're totally right with that. I mean, so like, when do you stop history then?
Exactly.
So like, do you stop history 10 years ago?
When the Premier League started.
Do you stop history in 5, 10, or do you go back 200 years, 100 years? You know what I mean? When do you cut off? Is it you cut off when your club weren't there and others were?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, we could go down that route, couldn't you? Really, in essence. But listen, I'm just happy that they have rejected, and I think also they reject it because I think they've seen the outrage from fans.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, a lot of people in like Sky and things like that, they sort of play down the role of what fans do, but at the end of the day, fans dictate what happens in football.
Yeah.
Maybe not a sense of like how rules go and things like that, but things like this that define the structure of English football, we have got a massive say in it.
Yeah.
So if you're one of these fans, and I even said last week just before we left, if you're one of these fans that are on these like Liverpool, Man United fan, and you're one of these who think, oh, I'm not asked, I don't care, it's our club, we'll benefit, then that you shouldn't be a fan.
Yeah.
You should not be a fan, and it's utter nonsense and criminal that you'd allow your own club to do that, to make a monopoly of the Premier League. Like, why?
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, what? Like, so when this all comes in, or if it did come in, does that then like sort of tarnish you winning the league? Because everyone knows why you're winning the league.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, so you're all Liverpool champions, and then you'll have no bragging rights with that.
Yeah, they control the rules. They control
just
the
on just on a fan point though. You know, it's like, well, what's the point? It's meaningless.
Yeah, exactly. Spot on. And listen, we all know as fans, Everton fans, football is a business now. 15 years ago, and going back further, certainly when my dad speaks to me about when he was a kid going to football, he'd get the bus from Goodison Park and he'd be on the bus with 2 or 3 of the players that played in that game, or we'd see them in the pub after it, and football is very much a business now, and this was a business move by Manchester United and Liverpool. And Tom's spot on. If you're a fan of either of those clubs, or any club for example, and you think that this would have been good because your club benefits and that doesn't matter, you're falling into the business side of football and thinking, well, it doesn't really matter because we're benefiting and forget about them. It contradicts we'll give 250 million to the EFL clubs, but, bollocks to the rest of the Premier League clubs, which of 2 are going to get sent down to the Championship and mightn't be able to fight the way back up. Another 2 are going to have to fight for relegation. Let's say, like Tom brought up a brilliant point before, let's say Burnley, for example, pick them out completely out the air. Let's say Burnley, for example, have got a potential takeover. Newcastle had a potential takeover. Bang, they could come in, brilliant, loads of investment, new stadium, new players, completely, renovating a club, and the Liverpool and Man United and whoever else is at the top go, nah, not doing that because it doesn't suit with ours. And one of the Premier League officials, I think, don't quote me, I think it might have been, is it Parry? Mike Parry?
Rick Parry.
Yeah, I think he come out and actually...
Mike's brother, isn't it?
Is it? Whichever one it is. I don't know who it was. But anyway, one of them come out and was actually was quoted saying, we don't want any more Leicester City. guarantees. And what he meant by that was the 2016 Premier League campaign in which Leicester City shocked the complete world and won it. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not a Leicester fan. I don't particularly like Leicester City. I don't mind some of the fans. We talk to some on the channel, but in terms of a football club, I'm not particularly massively fond of them. But it was nice to see somebody else winning the Premier League. It was nice to see somebody else taking it by the bull of the horns and completely shocking Sky, BT, the Premier League, everybody. But that hasn't happened since, and no one's really been close since, and that's because the higher ups and the people who own it and the people who control it have gone, well, let's make sure that doesn't happen again. By if they spend 100 million, look at the transfer window this summer. Aston Villa have spent over £100 million in the transfer window this summer. Chelsea have spent double. Manchester City have spent more. Liverpool have spent, near enough that, even though they've got a squad that's already very good. Manchester United are still spending silly amounts of money. And it's because they don't want that to happen again. And it happened with Manchester City, and they had to accept it because City they were there for consistent amount of years. They brought in world-class players. They brought in a manager who knew how to win things. So they had to put up with that. They understood Leicester was a one-off, so they got rid of that quickly. And it was a nonsense. It's an utter nonsense. And like I said, Everton are probably, ironically, one of the clubs that would have benefited. But I don't think I could have happily gone to watch Everton Football Club knowing full well that whoever we're playing as their situation at their football club is being dictated by ourselves and somebody else, and it's not a completely fair game.
Exactly, and that's where I think we can sort of see it from with us, in a sense of we've got quite a strong base of fans in Liverpool, and I don't think Everton fans would actually put up with it. Me personally, I can't speak for anyone else, but me personally, I wouldn't listen. People, I think in a sense, people would stop going the game.
Yeah, it's becoming, the more it's becoming like I've said this, I said it on a couple of instant match reactions, and it was just a throwaway sort of comment after them when referee decisions have gone our way, but I've said football is slowly but surely turning into like the WWE, and they're trying to script things and they're trying to decide situations.
It's been like that for years though, because referees just literally to piggyback on what you've just said there, if people want to go back and listen to what Richard Scudamore was saying back in 2014, right, he was talking about Manchester United, and basically, if Manchester United aren't up in the top four or fighting for titles, then the FA and the Premier League brand essentially loses out.
Yeah.
So, if that's the executive chairman, chief executive coming out and saying things like that, making comments, then you'll be very foolish to think that there's not other things at work to try and boost that club up in the league.
Yeah, spot on.
You'd be very foolish. Listen, that I've just started working in football, and not a lot of people say things like this and do things like. But you've got to say it how it is sometimes, and. Yeah, there is things that go out of play, out of play that you see in a lot of games. If you actually look back and see what decisions Manchester United do get, and about how many penalties they got last season, then you start wondering. It's not like a conspiracy theory. Well, it is at the moment. Get our tinfoil hats on for this, but it's essentially they do help these clubs, and we've seen it.
Yeah.
We've seen it with situations with penalties and getting last minute things and people getting sent. You've seen it all the time. This is why I think the clubs aren't impressed with VAR. I know we touched on it last week, but that's why people, because it evens the playing field.
Yeah, spot on.
So that they don't want that.
Yeah, spot on. And you again, another brilliant point about Scudamore. The Premier League clubs come together not so long ago, and I think they give Richard Scudamore something like, I don't know, 100 million, something mad, for a retirement fund. Again,
10 million, I think it was.
10 million. Was it 10 million each, or 10 million altogether?
I'm not sure. I don't know whether it was across his whole thingy, but I know he got 10 million each. I don't know whether it was each year.
Yeah.
Or something like that until he retired.
Well, he got millions of pounds for practically doing his job that he was already getting paid for. And that's what I mentioned before about that one-off £100 million gift, and they've put that in there and said, oh, it's for grassroots and women's football. It's not. It's to say to the FA, yeah, I'll scratch your back and you scratch ours. Tom's spot on there. Scudamore's come out before and said we benefit from Manchester United, the likes of Liverpool, the likes of Arsenal being in and around those positions because they are the big global brands. And as it's football is a business, and like we just mentioned then. If you go into a season thinking that it's completely fair and it's random and the fixtures are random and the results are random and the referees have got no alliances or not told what to do, I think it was a very famous referee come out and wrote a book after retiring. He'd been retired a couple of years. Can't remember his name now, it escapes me, but he wrote a book and he was asked about he was talking about Anfield, and he come out and said, listen, when you go and referee at Anfield, you are told that if a Liverpool player falls over in the box, you give a penalty and you make a case for the reason as to why that's a penalty. If the opposition does the same, you don't give a penalty, you just don't do it at Anfield. And that's because those clubs bring in a lot of money for the Premier League to have them in the top two, and if they come out and said that's the reason, that's it, that's how it is, then I think it would be, it would obviously be awfully received, but it'd be more received than trying to say no, it's completely random, the fixtures, and referees are making decisions completely fairly, when we know it's not the case. We know it's not the case. It wouldn't make business sense for a Leicester City to win the league every year. It wouldn't make business sense for another club to move into that top six, whether it be Everton or Wolves or Leicester, because those clubs are there established and those clubs bring the money in. And if the chief executive of the FA is coming out and admitting that, then, like we said, it is a bit of a conspiracy, but it's also not, because it's there in front of you. It's not like a wild thing. It's there.
It's backed by facts.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just as simple as, if you go do research and you want to learn more about it, just go Google about Richard Scudamore, Premier League, Manchester United and things like that, and you might go down a little rabbit hole, but you'll start seeing it from a view where everyone doesn't start the season on a fair level.
Yeah.
They don't, and they never have. I mean, I know Everton were part of the Premier League when it first started, and obviously it fell apart for us, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But
on the rise.
But listen, if we did go win something, I think if we did go, for example, go win the Premier League, I think you'd see a lot of changes. Yeah. As in, you'd see the Premier League or the big clubs starting to question how to go about this now, and I think you'll start seeing more pressure on the things of like European Super League, because if Everton comes to the forefront, for example, and do win Premier Leagues, and which they are going for, like Mercedes not here to play thumbballs and things like that, as you know what I mean. He's not here for tiddlywinks. So I think we in essence are going to be the last club to like probably challenge this, and hopefully it doesn't get to this point. But you've seen it over the last maybe 10 years now, and it's starting to pick up pace more and more each year. Every time you hear about it. So listen, I think it's inevitable that you're going to see one big Super League, European League, and I just think everyone will switch off. You won't have people in Asia, China, American deals. All them people will tune in because they love that. It's a big, massive
tournament,
event for them. But for the people like us who have lived for the English football all our lives, it's going to be meaningless. And like you say, if they want to go, then they can go.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly, spot on. And we, like you said, this has been going on for a while, and we know it's been going on, and they'll try and hide it, and they bring VAR into tab. All VAR is a computer which is ran by the same officials, just not necessarily wearing an armband and standing on the pitch. They're sitting in front of a telly instead. It's different ways to try and hide it, but football is it's a billion, probably £1 billion business per year in terms of the money that comes in. Certainly the Premier League, multi-billion, exactly. So, me and my dad have this conversation all of the time. To think that a multi-billion pound business is ran on luck and randomisation, and whoever may win it is complete and utter dross. It's not. It's decided, and it's not said at the start of the season, right, Manchester United have won it, but it's pushed in certain directions, in the directions that they want it to be pushed. And that's why it made a big deal out of now that United aren't performing well, because they're performing that badly, they can't even be helped. Same with, other teams over the years, and that's why, again, they've now come out and gone, well, we'll push this by making sure that an Everton can't go and sign a James Rodriguez because whatever reason, excuse they give. Ultimately, this has been abandoned, and brilliant that it's been abandoned, but if it would have went through, it wouldn't have been as plain sailing as we can make the decisions on ownership and rules and regulations. They'd have had loads in there in the small print that said, no, you can't sign that player, he's got too many Instagram followers, or he's too known, and that would have been in the small print. That I know it's silly, but it's true, innit? There'd have been loads in there that would have stopped teams from progressing ultimately.
Yeah, well, I mean, to give clubs, or to give other clubs who you're competing against the right to basically dictate who you bring into the club to sort of help you out financially and build your club better, then it's just mind-boggling, really.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, how can you... And it's not just... Listen, me personally, I think Manchester City have done brilliant for the community in Manchester.
Yeah.
That's how you run a football club. They're not here to make millions and billions. Well, as in essence, they are, because they are businesses and they are leaning more towards that. But if you look at what Everton are trying to do in the community, you look at what City have done, and their complex are doing, it's absolutely fantastic. That's how you're meant to do it. Not go and buy a load of houses next to a stadium, knock them all down, and then build an even bigger stadium.
Yeah. And even
won't name names.
Yeah.
Well, won't name names. Well, we all know what happened there.
Yeah.
People getting pushed out of homes that they've been there for 20, 30 years. I understand. Listen, I understand that there's future and you've got to expand, and obviously you don't want to stop these clubs, but it's fine. But when you're starting to not give it back to the community, and we've seen even before all this come out, they all come out and says they wanted to furlough their own staff and use government funding, but now they're willing to give 250, but we dictate everything.
Yeah.
I think it's an absolute disgrace, and I think more so if they are going to start, and clubs like this are going to start doing this, then we're going to have to seriously start questioning why these people are getting these clubs in the first place.
Yeah. Spot on, exactly. And again, just on that point about the stadium thing, my best mate growing up went to little school with him, spent years and years with him. He was one of those that lived in those houses surrounding that specific stadium. Completely moved out of a house at a stressful time, moved on, and the house that he lived in is still there. It's just boarded up. They've done nothing with it. They haven't built near that. They just basically moved a load of people out and then said, right, well, we'll just leave that for now. And that was 10, 12 years ago, something like that. And you're right about clubs furloughing staff and then using their own money to sign players. Arsenal didn't only, I think, let go of 55 staff and then signed a load of players, but they signed Thomas Partey for 45 million and then said, well, we're not paying the mascot. We can't afford to pay the mascot, which is ridiculous, isn't it? It's ridiculous. And Arsenal fans...
How much was he asking for, though?
I dare say it wasn't 200 grand a week, probably about 50 quid a game or something stupid like that.
No, I'm pretty sure he was asking for 100 grand a year.
Yeah, the mascot.
I'm pretty sure. Listen, that could be fake news. Don't kill me on that one. But I'll tell you what, I'll be putting my laptop down and be going in my dinosaur.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'll bang a dinosaur suit on for 100 grand a year. Easily do a few dances in that.
I'm pretty sure it was, or something daft like that. But I think Mesut Ozil will come out.
Yeah, he said he's going to pay it, didn't he? Which is
that
nice
was a bit nice, but I know what he's digging at the club there, and
that's it. That's
for what he's being put through and things like that. But listen, it's just all a business, and the more people start realising that and start letting that sort of childhood dream of football go, then the better you will be for it, because it's
gone.
It's getting worse than boxing. Yeah. I mean, boxing was horrendous, isn't it? The behind the scenes things, and it's starting to come a little bit better now with Eddie and getting involved in Sky and all that, but you still don't know what's going on there. But anyway, it's getting into a very, very dark place, football, and I think fans need to start pulling it back to some normality.
Yeah.
It's all well and good wanting all these things like Champions Leagues and all the money in the world, but at what point you look at it and think we're losing the essence of English football. To me personally, that's priceless.
Yeah. Spot on. Couldn't agree more. Absolutely spot on. If you're not enjoying the live stream so far, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. Just over 50 away from 3,000. So if you could subscribe, if you're new, it would mean a great deal. If you share the stream, let's try and get as many people in here as possible. We'll get into the live comments and then we will go on to talk about the Merseyside derby, of course, up and coming this Saturday afternoon. David says, hey Cam, thanks for the other day. He also says our leaders are really shocking and managed to embarrass themselves, changing it from sauce to swash. Please, everyone, use the hashtags. Get in the chat, use the hashtags on social media, share the message. It's really, really important that is done. Everton Botcher says, hi Cam, how's your day been? Not too bad, not too bad. Eugene mentions Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He has won the goal of the month, Everton's goal of the month, for his goal against West Ham.
You've been on FIFA today?
I've literally just been on it before, mate. Just when I finished...
You're going to have to go see someone and talk to someone about it.
I know, I finished work half day. I was done the Toffee TV podcast. Don't know if I meant to say it, but I'm sure they won't mind. So I had an hour or so after, so I had a couple of sneaky games there, you know. Still getting the low grades, but scoring hat-tricks every game, and nearly got myself sent off, but it is what it is, isn't it? If I do 2 games a day and put it down, I think that's manageable, but then it's inevitable that there's going to be a Saturday where I'm doing that Mr. Bean thing where I've got matchsticks on my eyes because I've been playing for hours. Evan Bodge says, don't think we are getting anyone in the EFL transfer window. We can talk about that in a bit as well. Apparently Eugene says Everton are interested in Rabiot. Don't know where that one's from. They say a paper somewhere. Everton Botch says paper talk, he's got a bad attitude. Everton Luke says, how are we lads? I'm not too bad. Everton Botcher says we get news on the days Cam does live streams. Philip says Liverpool need reminding that 10 years ago they were within a few hours of bankruptcy. Well, short memories, isn't it, for these football clubs? Manchester United are in hundreds of millions of pounds worth of debt, but you know, again, they still go out and spend shitloads of money every summer, don't they? Reece says, delighted that it hasn't gone through. This is what happens when a club owner is more bothered about the money than the team. I'd be extremely disappointed if Everton voted for it. I think we all would. We don't know who voted for and against it yet.
It'll come out.
But it'll come out, It will come out. I dare say it'll probably come out within the next 24, 48 hours, to be honest with you.
You've got all these journalists after it.
Yeah.
It will come out.
And even if Everton voted for it, it would come out very quickly because they'd want to jump on the back of that. And it'll certain other clubs as well.
It's bad press.
Yeah.
It's bad press. If you've got a club like Everton and the fans are against it, then it's just inevitable that they'll come out and be like, oh, we're sorry about this, and you'll hear all that. That'll all come. The little daft Twitter statements will all come out, you know what I mean?
Spot on. Jason says, Man United and Liverpool now realise they can't have what they want. If Klopp doesn't like it, he can do one. Well, you know, Klopp's notorious, I think, certainly since he's been at Liverpool, for these little I don't like that, so I want it to be changed. I watched it, and there was an interview clip on Twitter today from the derby a couple of years ago at Anfield when we got a penalty for Dominic Calvert-Lewin being pushed over, and Klopp blatantly turns around to the reporter and says, do you think it's a penalty? And he says, yeah. And Klopp says, well, I don't want you speaking to me because I only speak to people who know about football. And the fella absolutely had him off by saying, well, we've got people who've played years and years of football and won things in the studio who think it's a penalty as well. But it's that type of attitude that, again, listen, a lot of football fans outside of Evertonians like him for his little wittiness and whatever, and he has done some decent things in terms of, I've seen a couple of videos of him meeting fans and writing to fans, but that type of attitude makes me think that he would have pushed for it. But we don't know that. Ultimately. We know it's come from the owners. David says Iwobi isn't playing again, played last qualifying match for the month, put in good performances. There you go. It must be someone else I'm thinking of then. And Reece says Liverpool will always be Liverpool. They always think they are bigger than everybody else. We'll get back into the live comments shortly then. Like I said, if you are enjoying, please do hit the like button. Merseyside derby on Saturday. First Merseyside derby, of course, since the one in towards the back end of last season. First game back from the suspension of football. Could have won it.
Does it feel like a derby week for you? I haven't really felt it really, mate. No,
but I don't know if that's partly because of the international break.
Internationals,
I honestly can't decide whether this derby's coming at a great time or a non-great time, and I think that's just because I'm so used to like hating derbies and not looking forward to them. But like I said at the start, we have never been in this good a position, have we, going into a derby? Won 7 out of 7, players firing on all cylinders. Okay, the Mina situation with the injury, but it looks like, fingers crossed, that everyone gets through tonight, that all the players will be coming back, you know, raring to go. Dominic Calvert-Lewin on fine form, them coming back, you know, not only after a beaten by Aston Villa, but they haven't been brilliant this season, certainly not defensively. How are you feeling going into it then? Are you confident? Are you sort of a little bit, are you cautious that their backs are against the wall a bit and they might respond? They're going to have, I believe, they will have a full team other than Alisson in goal. I think Mane's back, Henderson, Thiago. I think they're all back and ready to go.
Yeah, I think Salah never went away.
Salah didn't go away, no, so we'll be back. So other than the goalkeeper, which is a big negative for them because they don't rate him very much, and I don't rate him either. But what are your thoughts then? Obviously, only a few days before it now.
I mean, I know, yeah, it seems a bit of a strange vibe, really. I mean, there's no real build up to it. On probably the internationals have probably tarnished it a little bit or hiding it, and probably the big massive build up will come probably Friday when we know everyone's fit and healthy and ready to go. And I don't know, it's a bit strange, isn't it? I think it's to do with that we've won so many games leading up to it, really. I feel I'm always confident. I know we haven't won many at Goodison, but I'm a lot more confident with Everton being at home than when we're away at Anfield, because history shows that, and I've always been like that since I've always fancied that we beat them at our ground. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, really. I just think it's a bit of a next to nothing. I know it's going to be a big game, but Saturday 12:30, I was going to ask that. What do you think about the kickoff? I always hate that kickoff. Yeah. I just never really liked it. I prefer probably a Sunday 12:30 kickoff than 12:30 Saturdays. I mean, you know, people aren't going to be able to go in the pubs unless they're all ordering a burger each, are they? So,
a little pasty.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think they could have at least changed it the time-wise, made it into like a bit of a night game maybe, or afternoonish game. But I'm fully confident. Yeah. To be honest with you. Yeah, I mean, if we get beat, we get beat. But I don't think it really tarnishes our season. No.
I'm confident going into it as well. Listen, it is a weird one. The 12:30 kickoff is mad after an international break, because you know we spoke about it yesterday. On Monday, we're going to have a couple of players that won't have landed in the country, long before 12:30 on Saturday. So I know, you know, the professional footballers and this, that, the other, but you know, rest is key as well. But it feels a bit of a strange one. Obviously, the last Merseyside derby at Goodison, first game back after what was a long break as well. So at least we can look at this one and think, right, okay, well, we've had a couple of weeks off, but we played Liverpool off the back of the suspension of football, where we'd had 3 months off, and Carlo had time to look at it and tactically look at it. I think we played really, really well in that game. We defended really, really well. Tom Davies hits the post with 8 minutes to go. If he scores that, we win a Merseyside derby, and this all of a sudden becomes a slightly different conversation because that mentality situation doesn't come into play. But I think I'll be most impressed this weekend if Everton Football Club go out and play footy like we've been playing, because I honestly think even with their strongest team, don't get me wrong, having Mane back is massive for them. They massively missed him against Villa. Yeah. Same with Thiago in the middle, same with Henderson if he's in there. The goalkeeper's still a worry for them. I honestly think Carlo Ancelotti will have looked at their results against Aston Villa, looked at their negatives and their weaknesses, specifically Trent Alexander-Arnold for me down that right-hand side, and I'll say to Richarlison on Saturday, stay on him, run him ragged all game, and say to Hammers, play in the little midfield role and get yourself involved. But I think the people saying that they're not confident or that they're a little bit sheepish about it is because of that mentality that, you know, we haven't won a derby for over a decade. I think they haven't beat us at Goodison, or they've beat us once in 8 or 9 years or something like that, which is not a bad record for Everton. But going into it on form, we have to be confident, don't we? Certainly with the manager that we've got. And Carlo Ancelotti, I think he faced Liverpool 5 times over the last 2 years with Napoli, beat them twice.
He's got a good record. He's got a really good record against Klopp, especially that system that he does. But as I say, with Everton and this, I think it's a bit of a listen. This is an Everton fan's like sort of brain.
Yeah.
Where you see your rivals get beat 7-2, and then you start thinking, oh God, here we go.
Yeah.
Do you know, it's just the way it has been with Everton. And like normally, if it was Manchester United who've just been tonked 7-2 by Villa, we'd all be up for and go, oh, we'll batter these. Yeah. They'll play them off the park. It's just this, like you say, this thing that's slowly but surely taken over, and this big grey cloud of not beating them and things like that. But ultimately, when you just take away the actual derby and itself, and you've just got the two teams, Everton play far better than them. Yeah. So I don't really think what you'd be afraid of. Only the fact that Mane's coming back, he's had a rest. Yeah. How's he going to be? You've had Salah staying here. These are things like you mentioned before. Jordan Henderson's never went away. Whether he's fit or injured remains to be seen. I mean, I know you've still got Virgil van Dijk, you've got Alexander-Arnold, Robinson. Is Gomez with it?
He's with England, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got him going. Firmino's over in Brazil with Fabinho. So you can think Wijnaldum's with the Dutch team. So they have got players as well that have got to do with this as well. But I know what you mean, where it's our best players that are far like in South America, and you just start worrying about it. I think there was a stat on Twitter, I don't know whether it was right, that Mane, Salah and Firmino have only played one game, one derby. Together.
I don't know, actually. It could be because Origi usually gets himself involved.
Well, that's it. I mean, I seen the Echo, the fan page of Liverpool Football Club put a piece out and said that they might be putting like Minamino and I don't know whether Shaqiri will be anywhere near it, but you've still got it. I mean, listen, what can you say? Yeah. You know, they can play these teams and you can still fancy it and all that, but at the end of the day, they've still battered us with them players. So
it has to be the team that fancy it, doesn't it? And just a little bit of injury news, just for context of the situation. Carlo Ancelotti has had an interview today with official Everton website, and he has come out and confirmed that Alan should be fit and raring to go. Same with Seamus Coleman, which I know was a worry because we didn't hear about Seamus's injury. We spoke about that on Monday. Andre Gomez ready to go as well. Obviously, Richarlison and James Rodriguez both played for their national teams yesterday. No injuries, but again, late fitness tests will show. Yerry Mina's the only one at the moment, other than the long-standing injuries that we know about, John Joe Kenny, John Philip Cabaman, etc. Yerry Mina's the only one that there could be an issue or worry about in terms of an injury. So we're going in with as strong a team as we possibly can, hopefully with those players coming back off international duties, being fit, and like I said, touch wood, touch mat, touch me desk for the rest of the stream. That I nearly said a mad sentence then. Touch me desk for the rest of the stream. That none of the players featuring in today's games pick up injuries, including Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who's obviously a big player for us at the moment. I had this feeling before, and like I said, I was talking about the derby before, and I've just don't know why, but it just popped into my head, and I ever since, it was about 2 hours ago, and ever since I've just constantly been thinking about it. I think Liverpool and Mr. Klopp will go a little bit dirty on Saturday. I think they'll recognise that we will have seen the Villa result and seen their weaknesses and seen that defensively they haven't been great this season. They've been a shambles at times. No. Joe Gomez has been a shambles. Alexander-Arnold, even Van Dijk has been poor this season at times. And I just think that Klopp might go, you know what, these are in brilliant form. They've got some fantastic players. They play good football. Just go out and kick them. And let's see if they can withstand the kicking. And I hope that Everton turn around and respond to that and go with the likes of Alan and James, who we know can throw a little tackle in every now and then. Done it for Colombia last night. Probably shouldn't be talking in a positive light about it because it was a bit of a dangerous tackle. But we know we haven't got players that'll shy away from that. One big confidence that I'm taking into this game, not only is the Carlo Ancelotti effect and the fact that he, usually does well against Liverpool and he's, a top class manager, he knows how to manage in these games, but also we've now got players in Alan, James Rodriguez, who have played at the highest level. They've played in the Champions League. James played in a World Cup, won World Cup Golden Boot. He won't be afraid about playing a Liverpool team at Goodison Park. In fact, he'll have probably looked at the game against Villa and thought, how can I exploit these? How can I make the most of this? In the same way is that he wasn't afraid to play Spurs away opening game of the season. And I know it's different because it's a local derby and there's a different feeling, but we played Spurs and I think we spoke about it after the game.
I was just about to say, I've got the same feeling that I felt before Spurs, where I was just dead relaxed and went into the game and I felt something was going to happen and they did it. It was brilliant. I mean, just on that, where you're saying they might change, I'm looking at it in a sense of, would Klopp change his tactics, or is he got the big ego of a big manager, suppose saying, no, I'm not changing nothing. Yeah. Which ultimately, I think personally, falls into Ancelotti's lap. Definitely. Because if he doesn't change what he done against Villa, then ultimately I think Everton will absolutely play them off the park.
Yeah, I agree.
Because at the end of the day, we've been playing well, but in sometimes we haven't. I mean, we haven't even hit full stride yet, in my opinion. Yeah. Spot on. So if they're getting beat 7-2 against Villa, you can say as much as you want about fans, anything like that. At the end of the day, that was just a bad performance. And the way Sky and Carragher sort of brushed over it because he'd won the Premier League. Yeah. I mean, it's just utter madness to me. I mean, you've been beat 7-2 by a nearly relegated team last year.
Yeah, I agree.
We no matter what, if he's won the league before, that has got to be questions asked.
Yeah, I agree, spot on.
Me personally, I don't see Everton getting beat 7-2.
Yeah, this season, no.
I just hope we don't change.
Yeah. No.
And sort of start facilitating them.
Yeah.
And because that to me starts giving them a bit of a thingy, like we're sort of respecting them and what they do now. Yeah. We've just got to do what we've been doing for the last 4 to 7 games, and just go out there and play football and not listen. There's not going to be no fans there, so you can't really get on the occasion. But honestly, I can see like a big upset coming.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. You're spot on there. It is important that we don't change anything to facilitate them. It's important that we don't go for 5 at the back, for example, to nullify their attack. Go out and play the football that you've been playing. Michael Keane has been extraordinary this year. Yes, they've got good attacking players, of course. They won the league, they won the Champions League the year before. Michael Keane's been extraordinary this season. Yerry Mina is, he hasn't been the most consistent, but the game against Brighton, he was brilliant. Luca Dean has been fantastic. Seamus Coleman's been brilliant. Play them as a flat back four. Play the same midfield who we know can get physical.
You might even see
Godfrey coming in for the physicality element.
You might, but you just might do anyway because of what you're hearing from Colombia and
about Mina, yeah.
Yeah, well, listen, with Mina, it's touch and go. When you hear that he's got a niggle or something like that, that worries me because of his physicality. His physical, it's just the way his body is, isn't he? He's a big lad, and these big lads always seem to get these niggling injuries. So, listen, if Godfrey comes in, I'd be more than happy to. I know we said last week, I said last week that I don't really like it, but if he comes in, and let's see what he can do. Hopefully he turns up. Yeah. I mean, I seen the other day that he was registered 6 foot. Must be 6 foot wide as well.
Yeah, literally.
Absolutely massive.
Doing a boxing training and that.
I mean, him and Allgate are the same height, and I was like, they might have got it wrong. I don't know, but he's the biggest 6 foot fella I've ever seen. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, you're spot on. We go out, play our game. Don't allow them to play their game and do what Villa done. Villa ultimately saw a weakness early on and exploited it. They saw a weakness in their offside trap and they saw a weakness in their right hand side defensively. They exploited it. They pressured them. Exactly. They weren't scared. They went balls to the horn and they went, actually, we can score. And Liverpool have proven so far that they've not got that invincibility. They've not got that we can beat any, or they've not got that nobody can beat us. We're going to win every game. They've had their asses handed to them comfortably by a Villa team. Let's not get it twisted. That Villa team could have scored 10 last week. Easily scored 10. Ollie Watkins at the bar and he had 2 other opportunities that on another day he could have scored. It was embarrassing, but it could have been really, really embarrassing. So we need to go out and adopt that, like you mentioned there, Tom. Don't facilitate them. Don't worry about what they've got, worry about what we've got, and worry about the football that we've been playing, which has been fantastic. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's going to come into this game with all of the confidence in the world. I spoke when I was talking to Baz and Ped and Paul before about Dominic Calvert-Lewin and the international break and whether we like it and whether we don't like it. I said one thing that goal for England will do will just maximise his confidence tenfold. He's a young lad, he's dreamed about playing for England, he spoke about it with his mum, his dad, his granddad. He's come in, given the number 9 shirt, he scored in his debut. He'll be coming in, even, again, he might score again tonight, but let's say he doesn't play tonight.
I don't think I don't think he will play. I'd be surprised if he does.
Well, let's say he doesn't. He goes into the Merseyside derby off an international break where he scored a goal on his debut for his country. He's flying in confidence. James Rodriguez is loving his football at the moment. He's playing under the manager he said is like his dad in football. Richarlison has been on an interview today after the Brazil game talking about how in awe he is of Carlo Ancelotti and working with Carlo Ancelotti. This Everton team isn't only going in on fantastic form, we're going in super, super confident. And yes, there's players that have played Merseyside derbies before, but I think as a collective, the group needs to come together and Carlo Ancelotti needs to come together and go, this is just another game. If we beat these, it's a massive statement for the rest of the league. A massive statement is to say, we can beat anyone on our day. The Tottenham result baffles me because I've seen a load of football fans, non-Evertonians, say, you only just scraped past Tottenham, it was a lucky result. We battered them. We played them off the park. They had
we were never in trouble.
No, never in doubt whatsoever. And if we do that on Saturday and we can do that against them, forget that it's Liverpool in a derby, it's against the champions who won it convincingly last season. If we turn up and play them off the park and beat them, that sends out a massive statement to everybody else in this league, and it also furthers our confidence going forward. We then go into a run of fixtures, very winnable fixtures, leading up to Christmas, and all of a sudden, again, we spoke, didn't we, Tom, on Monday and last week about winning the league and not getting too ahead of ourselves. But if we're in and around that top 4 at Christmas, previous seasons suggest that those teams in and around it are usually in and around it at the end of the season as well, which would be a massive achievement for us. There's nothing, yes, they've got a good forward line, but for me, there's nothing we should fear going into this game. They're not indestructible. Aston Villa showed that. They can be beaten, they can be torn to bits, they can lose their heads and be completely embarrassed. Aston Villa proved Aston Villa a team that are in good form, but again, like you mentioned, just finished above the relegation zone last season, are still trying to find their feet, really. The players that we've got and the form that we're on and the way that we've been playing should be more than enough to win this game of football. And it's a derby, so you sit back and you don't want to talk like, oh my God, we'll batter them, this, that and the other, because it could come back to bite you on the arse. But realistically, we should be.
The key battle will be midfield. For me. Personally, I know I'm made up that Coleman's back. I'm surprised I'm still saying that, but he's been absolutely fantastic. And I think I've mentioned it before. Doucouré's a big part of what Coleman's been doing because he's allowed to cover him and cover the space that he's leaving at times and things like that. Same way over on the other side. I think Richarlison and Dean are fantastic together. I've always said Richarlison's a left winger. I've always liked that. Didn't think he's much of a striker because I think he just likes that space and coming off and cutting in. I think he's fantastic at it. And I thought he's really developed as technically wise this year. I thought he's really come out. But I think it's the midfield. I mean, I know I'm not too sure. I'm not too familiar who is fit for them in the centre half. But you could have a possible partnership of Fabinho going back into centre half and going up with Van Dijk. We've seen the troubles with what Gomez had against Villa. He might be dropped. So you're looking at that then, and then you're looking at the matchups in the midfield. You've got Allen, who could probably go up against Wijnaldum. Then you've got Doucouré going up against maybe Henderson. And then I've got a sneaky feeling that he might play Sigurdsson
instead of Gomez.
Yeah, I just think he will. I think just the way you've looked, but just look the way he's been playing, and he's knocking on the door, Sigurdsson. And listen, we've all got issues with Sigurdsson, but the way I've seen him and the way he's actually like come out and sort of just took it by the bull by the horns. Really, I really like that. And wants to fight for his place. So, and personally, I think he deserves it over Gomez. I mean, me personally, I don't think Gomez has done anything. I don't think he actually brings anything in that role. He he's sort of meant to be playing this sort of advanced midfielder, and he ends up being on the toes of Michael Keane, starting to spray balls, and we just don't want him there. We don't need him there to be doing that. And we've seen that Michael Keane's more than capable of doing that himself, and you want Alan to go and get the ball off him and start shifting it around. So I think you might see Sigurdsson. Did someone say that Iwobi's out?
I don't think so, no. I think they said that he's already played his last international fixture, but I don't think he's out. That's going to do me head in now, because I'd said it was Iwobi, but I don't know who it is.
You might see Iwobi coming, because the thing with me is I seen a massive hole in Liverpool's game is when Barkley absolutely run them ragged, wanting that ball carrying midfielder. They didn't know what to do with him, and especially when you've got the likes of Grealish running. Well, there you go. You've got Richarlison, who's a ball carrier. So if you put and I think Iwobi needs to start playing from the start, because I think personally he just looks a bit, not like cold, but he just seems cold. He just seems he needs 5-10 minutes to start getting rolling and start moving and grooving. You've seen that in him, like the first 5-10 minutes you sort of not angry with him, but you sort of get 15-20 minutes on, he's into it. So I think Iwobi would be good for just the sheer fact of being a ball carrying midfielder and sort of doing that similar role to what Barkley did. You got Richarlison on the left hand side cutting in, causing chaos, and then you've got James just floating around. And I think the big thing is that Rodriguez will be floating in.
Yeah.
So I wonder how they're gonna deal with that.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder how they're going to deal with James Rodriguez, because current form, he's probably in the top 3 players in the Premier League so far.
No one's been able to deal with him.
Well, exactly, but I think Ancelotti knows how to deal with Salah, Mane, and Firmino. We've seen it. We've seen him do it. We've seen him do it with Napoli. We've seen him done with Everton. But now we're seeing him gonna do it with better players.
That's it. Spot on. I was literally just about to say that. I mean, I think this game will be about the midfield battle and who controls that. And Everton controlled the midfield battle the last time we played Liverpool after the lockdown, and we didn't have Alan or James or Decore. We were playing with, Tom Davies and Gylfi Sigurdsson, who weren't in great form and didn't have great seasons, and yet we still managed to control the game and create the better of the opportunities. So yeah, it's dead interesting, isn't it? And it's always an interesting game, and personally, I never look forward to them. But I'm as confident as I can be. But it's mad, because I'm sitting here like, this is the best situation, but it just means that
You're not confident at all?
I'm confident. I'm completely confident, but that confidence is just that Everton mentality is making me think, that means that if we lose, it's even worse, because I'm dead confident and we're in great form. But no, I am really confident. I think Carlo Ancelotti, what he has brought into the team is this. He's nullifying big games. He's telling the players that a game against Burnley is as important as a game against Liverpool, is as important as a game against Man United, a game against Wolves, a game against, Brighton. It's a game of football. You go out, you play the football, you've done in training, you enjoy yourself. And that breeds confidence for me, because it means that I don't think we'll play the occasion this time out. And I don't think we played the occasion last time out either, to be honest. And I think with a bit more quality and potentially luck, if Tom Davies' goal goes in, we win that game, don't we? And you're almost having a different discussion.
Listen, what Ancelotti's brought to this club is, in essence, as I say, like elitism.
Yeah.
That's what he's brought. That is what he's brought. You've seen it in the past where the aura of him.
Yeah.
I know we talk about this thing, but he's got an aura about him that he's class. Yeah. He just oozes class. And that sort of brings the club into this thing where it oozes class. Because basically, in my opinion, the club mirrors what the manager is.
Yeah.
So when Allardyce was in charge, we were this small club where we supposedly from Talk Sport and Sky and what more
can we want? That was the same in December before we got Ancelotti.
What more? Well, that's exactly it. But now you're starting to see that turn, and they're not going to start disrespecting what Carlo brings, and Listen, I've got his book and I've read it, and he's fascinating. And the title of the book is Quiet Leadership, and nothing more defines him more than that. I think he's absolutely sensational, and I think we've got to have confidence in him and where he's taken the club, because now we've seen it where we're always going to have doubts about who comes in recruitment wise and things like that, especially me, the way I work and look at it. And I was very, very critical this summer because of what we've wasted in the past. But now you're going to have to just hold our hands up and just run with him, just let him do. Let him bring in who he wants, but in the same time, let Marcel Brands do his thing, because I feel like Marcel Brands gets a lot of grief, and I think, listen, I don't think anyone in Europe has had a more harder job than Marcel Brands. We've, like you said, I've rattled off a load of lists who he's got to get rid of. Listen, it's a business, and he's got product that is essentially not good product. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know. You like trying to sell Aldi gear when some fella next to you selling Marx's gear.
That's
you know what I mean?
That's it.
Someone's got the black Percy pigs going, and some fella next to you's got the proper ones. So
you're going to go for the proper ones, aren't you?
You know what I mean? Even if your Mars a little cheapo, but...
Boss, what an analysis that is. But it's spot on. You know, big part of this summer was getting rid of that Deadwood, and the argument is that we haven't done a lot of it, but we've got rid of Sandro on a permanence, which for me is mad. You know, again, we brought all these players in, but getting rid of Sandro on a permanence is a massive positive for Everton, same with certain other players.
Yeah, well, I mentioned it to Baz on Toffee TV, and we were talking about who could go, and he was saying surely him himself would want to go. But I sort of look at it from like a devil's advocate kind of point of view and thought, well, if I was in a job, if someone paid me, or I was in a job now, and someone come along and said, I'm going to give you £100,000 a week to do this, and I got there, and I didn't do it probably, but the contract said, or in essence he went, well, you're not that good at that job, so here's a brush, start pushing up, and I'm on £100,000 a week. I'm going nowhere.
That's it.
This is what, and I understand where fans get it. Like it is frustrating. It really is frustrating when you just want get him gone. He needs to go. But it's a hard when someone's on £100,000 a week doing nothing, and he's sort of the only sort of market you're looking at is lower league La Liga. They've got no money whatsoever. So I think he's done the club a favour really, and also fair play to him. He wants to go and crack on with his career. You don't see a lot of that now. You've seen Balassi. I mean, you might as well get him a skirt and a little bra and give him a little cheerleading outfit on for Saturday, because that's all he seems to do. I listen. I'm not against players and things like that. They want to champion the club and all that, but I find it very, very bizarre. He was very quiet for years about Everton, and then he comes back in his last year and starts cheerleading about Everton.
He was even negative towards Everton at times.
Exactly, not for me. Things like that. Everyone's got a short-term memory, and you know, you've got people thinking, "Can he do a job?" And you think, "What are you talking about?" You know what I mean? But imagine Balassi coming on Saturday. Well, I've only got a little bit of a left. You know, be gone by after TV. Come on.
I don't know. There's you know, Philip says that some of the Deadwood have actually turned into decent players. Well, those like that some believed with Deadwood, like your Sigurdssons and your Delphs, who have turned up and done a job when they've needed to, but there's still a lot of players at the club that are officially Deadwood and won't get an opportunity. And Carlo said, you're not getting a future at this club, so you have to move on. That are still here, and it's a tough job.
Just on that, where we're talking about Deadwood, right? Should we be accepting that way Deadwood comes in and gets us out of trouble every time?
Exactly.
We shouldn't. That's just not acceptable in my book. I want Everton winning every league every year. Don't care what Richard Scudamore says. I'd want Everton to take over European world football. That's my goal. What's everyone else's goal? You know what I mean? So you've got to get to that point. You've got to have these standards where, Nias did come in and do fantastic. Really, he saved us in an essence. I tell you what, he saved Koeman for a bit, and ultimately he lost his job. But you can't be having these lads just be on £100,000 a week to just come in off under 21s football and just play 3 games to try and save us from the relegation. No, that's
nonsense, isn't it?
Loser mentality. It's loser mentality, in my opinion. We've always been this club for the last 15, 20 years, especially in my lifetime, that with this underdog mentality and things like that. No, get behind Carlo Ancelotti and hear what he says about the club.
Yeah, spot on. He talks very, very highly, and he says this is a big club who should be winning things. And that was one of the first things he said in his interview when he first joined was, no, we should be challenging for the Premier League. We should be playing in the Champions League. And that was a massive reality check for a lot of Evertonians, because that wasn't only somebody coming in and saying that's where Everton should be. That was a manager that's been there and won it, saying this is where we should be, rather than, like you mentioned, that sort of small club underdog, we shouldn't win this game, so if we win it, it's a great achievement. No, we should be going out and beating Liverpool on Saturday because we're in better form than them, and they've shown defensively they can be torn apart. Same reason as to why we should have beat Brighton, even though they played all right against United. Same reasons why we should have beat Palace. So I agree, spot on. James says when you have players we have and the manager we have, when you have the manager, the players will always learn from him. You're spot on. Philip says, oh, there's a Thor Balassi in a skirt and a little bra. There you go. Everyone's got that stuck in their head now. Scott says, I like this guy, Cam. Get him on all the time because our Colombian brothers will be able to understand him. Only joking, mate. Well, Tom's always welcome on. Always welcome. Philip backs that and says Tom's a good bloke. He knows his stuff and is always interesting. Scott says, yeah, he's great. James says, class, you're right, Tom. Calmness, soz about the spelling. He says Carlo has brought a calmness. We're a different animal now. Philip says Mr. Ancelotti is a footballing god. He certainly is. Some people talking about Pickford in the comments. I don't know if the
just get him.
I don't know. I don't know if the England starting 11's come out and he's in it or he's not in it. I don't know. It's just love Pickford. He needed competition like England. Jared says one word, Pickford.
Oh, the on about
it might just be a discussion point for Saturday.
Just listen, someone just put super glue on his gloves and we'll be alright.
Do what? That's what Traore does, doesn't he? He oils himself up or something so people can't.
I can't believe that kid. Yeah, that's allowed.
Same.
I seen that on one arm, and no one picked it up, and I was like,
yeah,
what's going on here?
A little bit of super glue on Jordan's gloves won't go arm, will it?
We'll just get about 30 packs of gloves next to the goal and just put every time that he grabs the ball, take them off, throw a new pair on.
The ball's being kicked about on the 60th minute with about 100 pairs of gloves stuck to it.
Yeah.
Floating. James says good to see Ross Barkley playing well regardless of what happened. Villa smashed it. Well, it was his debut, wasn't it? Let's see how he does.
Oh yeah. Listen, just on Barkley, I think he's very underrated. Listen, we can say that his career's gone backwards. Maybe not, because he had a horrendous injury. Horrendous. He had a year out. That year coming back, you're gonna have niggles and all that. But the stats that he was putting up was still fantastic. And listen, if you get a fit Ross Barkley and get him doing what he's best at doing, just running at defenders and not sort of trying to be this fancy footballer anymore and just going to try and do things, he gets himself in some fantastic positions like we've seen against Liverpool. I think in my book he's probably gonna be one of the probably best transfers of the season.
Yeah, I agree.
A lot of people probably agree with that, but what he'll bring to Villa, he'll bring a lot. They will be nowhere near the relegation zone.
I agree completely. I agree. You know, he's that creativity that they need, and he's now got a chance to get his head down and sort of play consistently and work hard. And if he does that, you've seen him against Liverpool. He could have easily had a hat-trick against Liverpool as well. Missed a couple early on.
Well, he's got a massive Premier League asset in him, and that he can carry the ball at speed. That is a massive asset to have in the Premier League.
Spot on, completely agree. Philip says Clive Thomas, who wiped Brian Hamilton's goal against Liverpool, apparently got the officials together before meeting the press to make sure they got the story right. F and cheat, there you go. Icon says, any news on Allen and Gomez? Both fit, according to Carlo Ancelotti. James says, Cam, spot on with this subject. No respect for English League makes me sick. Philip says, spot on, Tom, about financial fair play. There you go. Ian says, cap the wages. Lose the tendency now for the players and gobshite agents. Reece says if every player just gave £5,000 a week to lower league clubs, it would help them massively. It would. James says Man United and Liverpool will be the centre of it, just a power play, let them F off. Philip says, well said, Cam, if you don't like it, fuck off. There you go. James says he's confident, very, very confident that we'll win on Saturday. Let's hope the keepers don't ruin the derby. Phillips has got, that was Reece Phillips, got a bad feeling.
It'd be alright. It'd be alright if they keep it.
Absolutely, happily. James says, can't wait for Saturday. Don't want it to be a high scoring game, but I have a feeling it will be a good work. Good work as always, lads. Thank you very much. Reece says football isn't a sport anymore, it's a business, and we're watching it get flushed down the toilet by greedy owners. Spot on. James likes the hoodie.
Shout out to Macclesfield, and Robbie Savage, who took away
by the stadium, man.
Was a massive part. Yeah, it was a massive part of that. Listen, I think more so, I think it's fantastic that these clubs are being able to survive and things like that. We've seen with Bury, listen, Macclesfield or Manchester United has no right over Macclesfield. Do you know what I mean? They should be helping these clubs because, listen, you've got kids all over the country who play football. It should just be about players who can play in the Premier League, and that's it. It should be about lads who are allowed to play for Macclesfield. But you know what I mean? I think why don't we start producing lads who can? Well, we are in essence doing it for like National League and things like that. Why can't these lads have a right to start playing and things like that? Like majority of these lower league clubs haven't even got academies. No. Like I know, like Wrexham recently just got took over. I thought that's fantastic. I've always been interested in how would someone go about building Wrexham up. I think that's an absolute gold mine of a catchment area, especially North Wales. No one near them. Then you've got the Northwest, you've got Manchester, you've got the Midlands, all closely knitted to them. So I think they want to watch out for, and hopefully they start producing, because I think it'd be fantastic. I listen from going on a bit of a tangent, but I used to love as a kid playing footy manager and going these lower league teams and bringing them into the Premier League, and that's just all what football is.
That's it.
If these proposals did get in, you'd never have that.
No, exactly. It would stop those surprise clubs, your Swanseas, your Bournemouth, various clubs coming up and doing well and sustaining themselves.
What's wrong with Bournemouth, like you've just said? That's brilliant example of what they've been able to do for their community. And people have got to realise, like, the Premier League, and when a city has got a big club in there, which in essence every club in the Premier League is a big club, you bring massive economy for the city. So it's a massive thing for these clubs.
Spot on. Couldn't agree more. Just on the topic of the Project Big Picture, obviously we spoke about it coming out, which clubs are for it, which clubs are against it. The Guardian are reporting, and genuinely are quite a reliable source in regards to this. They have said that Everton Chief Executive Denise Barrett-Baxendale demanded an apology regarding Project Big Picture from Liverpool and Manchester United. Liverpool's representative Tom Werner and Manchester United's representative Ed Woodward both refused. So looks like Everton weren't involved in that discussion, and Denise Barrett-Baxendale's demanded an apology, which she won't get, because she won't get. But that's some nice sort of news as to morally for us to think, we weren't a part of that situation, or at least she wants an apology for something. She might have been promised something, we don't know, but I would assume that's because she was disgusted at the proposal. But there you go. I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure more will come out very, very soon. James says Barkley is good with Lukaku. Now Grealish says about the spelling. No worries. He said he'll be in the Euros if he plays like that. Everton Botches has made a video about Liverpool to piss them off. He said he'll upload it after the derby. Hold tight on that one, mate. Let's not do anything silly.
Yeah. You might have a bit of dust on that for a few years.
Just keep that one on private for now. Philip says if Yerry can't play, what a chance for Godfrey. Yeah, potentially. We've seen players make their debuts in derbies before him and play well. So potentially.
Yeah. I think he's going to be a good player there, Godfrey. I really do. I think he's highly rated in the England ranks as well. I think think he's going places, that lad, and if it's with Everton, I'm more for it.
Spot on. He played yesterday for the under-21s, played quite well. I didn't see the game, but according to people on social media, etc., he played quite well. So there you go. We'll end it there then. If you have enjoyed the stream, please do hit that like button. Been a brilliant stream today. Spoke obviously about Project Big Picture and the absolute just disaster that it is, or was now that it's been scrapped. We talked about the Merseyside derby as well. If you have enjoyed it, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. Don't forget to check out Tom's links. Tom is absolutely brilliant. He's been on a few times over the last week or so. Big thanks to Tom. His Twitter, Insight Markets Twitter, in the description down below, so don't forget to check those out. Big thanks for coming on, Tom. Be up for coming on again next week and talking more, maybe even Monday to do the review for the Liverpool game.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Should we see how it goes first?
We'll see how it goes. But if not, next week at some point, yeah.
Might be crying for an hour,
or loss of voice, which happened to the last time I was in a Merseyside derby at Goodison. I couldn't do a video for about 3 weeks because my voice had just gone. Sound like Mickey Mouse.
Yes.
Good.
Yes,
brilliant.
Of course.
Thank you very much. Big thanks to Tom. Massive thanks to everybody for watching live. Honestly, really do appreciate it. If you're watching as a YouTube video, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below, and I will get back to as many of them as possible. A little bit of positive news, completely off topic, but Batman have been filming again today in Liverpool, and they've been filming at the Lava Buildings. So I've heard Farhad Moshiri's tried to sneak a little loan deal in to Robert Pattinson to see if he can play centre half this weekend, if you any meaners.
Bill Kenwright playing the Bill Kenwright playing the Penguin, is he?
That's it. Yeah, we've got the whole cast. What we're gonna do on Saturday basically is just lights out Goodison Park like the Undertaker's coming in, and just fly Batman in and just absolutely rinse it. But yeah, they could have done something there, Everton, with the Lava Buildings, and stuck a little Everton badge in there on the sly. But yeah, or lit it up blue. Yeah. Had to be in boss, wouldn't it? Or give Batman the all away kit with Richarlison on the back or something and made him do the pigeon dance.
Yeah, but just before we go there, like I'd love Everton to start pushing these things. Just start getting your name out and start pushing it. Like, it's all right being in this bubble of Liverpool and we've got this massive following in Liverpool, but I think we're gonna miss out on a lot of things that. With America, I think we've got a massive following in America. I think we just need to start pushing on them things now. Start floating ideas and, like you say, start doing imaginary things that you wouldn't really expect, like we've seen in Miami and the billboards and things like that. I love all that.
I agree completely. I know, like you said, we've seen a little bit of it with the Hammers situation, and I think Everton are looking to open an office in America, either Miami or California. But you're right, we've got a massive following in America from Landon Donovan, from Tim Howard, so we need to exploit that, if you like, and get our name out there.
Don't forget.
There you go.
Big
Bri. There you go, Big Bri. So yeah, you're right, we need to get our name out there, do more of that. Like I said, we spoke to Paul from Kit It Out a few weeks back about an Everton mural which should be going ahead, which will be brilliant as well. But we're right, we need to do more of that. Well, if you're filming in our city, if you're doing that, there's the Everton badge there. Let everyone know about Everton Football Club.
Exactly, like there's more than one team in this city, and Everton are a massive part of this city, but you don't really see it, especially around the city. But you start seeing now, but you want to see them start expanding things and going further, and just being relative. Like I think a mad thing is that it's very hard for Everton fans from different countries to get a kit. I mean, in this day and age, that's just nonsense. Whether that's down to deals or whatever they've got round it, and before I think was it Fanatics or something that was charged. You'd only have to go to actually the Everton website, and that's just madness. That's just madness to me. You gotta just put them everywhere. Like I'm assuming, and I would not be surprised if Liverpool have stores in China, freaking Korea, America, and things like that. Go get one in Colombia and do things like that. You know what I mean? Well, that's it. And while it's like popular. I mean, what's bigger than James Rodriguez in Colombia?
No.
Every kid will want a kid. So for as ever long as he's here, these kids start to grow up with it. starts glow up and say he was at Everton and I've got an Everton kit and things like that. You just want to start doing that.
Spot on, completely agree. Could be a good topic of conversation as well for stream next week if you're up for it. We'll talk a little bit about that and you know, going global with it, because we have to exploit the fact that we've got big superstar players now. Same with Richarlison in Brazil. Philip says, I'm very good, guys. Thank you very much, Phil. You need to see about the toffees. We will be live with the game preview to the derby, give my predicted starting 11, talking a bit more about it after Carlo's press conference. That'll be on Friday at 5:15 p.m. Semi says, Stoke to make the live stream for once. Go Blues, beat the shite. No more playing little brother to the Reds. Spot on. Philip says, well said, Tom. Eugene says, Liverpool are a blue city, of course. Big thanks for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do hit the like button. Massive thanks to everybody in the live comments. Massive thanks to everybody watching as a YouTube video. And we'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues. There we go. Sorted. Thank you very much.